interceptions by Drew Brees. You saw a couple fumble sacks by the Eagles. The defensive line really pressured Brees, and they turned a close game into an absolute rout, putting up a lot of points. I think some good signs from the offensive side of the football with the Philadelphia Eagles, especially trying to get their ground game going. What did you see on Sunday with the Eagles win?
Yeah, what you had to like was they got Matthews involved, they got DeMarco Murray involved, and those two guys were moving the football behind. Let's face it, the offensive line was beat up, but those guys all came out there, and they gave it a good, solid effort. So, it's a good win for them. You don't like to see those red zone interceptions that Sam Bradford had, but a solid win for them. And now these next couple of weeks are really going to tell us about the Eagles. Monday Night Football hosting against the Giants, and then at the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, and the Giants feeling pretty good about themselves. They still have not played. I don't think any team, for that matter, in the NFC East has played a 60-minute game, but they got the clutch play late by Eli, the 80-yard drive. They had Odell as a decoy, and really he did it with no one out there. Vereen was a huge pickup. You can see right now why the Patriots loved a guy like Shane Vereen. To me, he's almost like a Sproles. These X factors we've seen over the years, a Pierre Thomas, a Kevin Falk years ago with the Patriots. So that opens up the offense a little bit. But what'd you see from the Giants, from their run defense on Sunday night against the 49ers?
Yeah, I thought they did a good job bottling up Carlos Hyde. They were hitting him over and over again. And let's face it, Colin Kaepernick, not the best quarterback when he gets confused. And they did a good job in terms of getting pressure on him and causing a confusion that I was talking about. So he did not look comfortable in the pocket. They were getting after him. And it was a great effort by the Giants overall. That defense is trying to step up, kind of a no-name group out there. But those guys are getting the job done, and I know they want to get the pressure on Sam Bradford because, let's face it, he can make the mistakes, and that offensive line, as I talked about earlier, is very beat up, especially at the guard positions.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. If there was ever a night where maybe they try to get a pass rush, the Giants would love to start get their pass rush going against the Eagles on Monday night. How about the Dallas Cowboys? I know a lot of people are saying the bye couldn't have come at a better time, but now there's some reports circulating, a couple articles I've read where the Cowboys need to get rid of Brandon Weeden. Forget about him being a stopgap. I mean, look, they're probably going to start Matt Castle after the bye, but everyone knew this was just a Band-Aid. I mean, this is obviously not the long-term solution because you're still waiting for Roma to come back. In my estimation, it doesn't matter when Des Bryant comes back, Lloyd, because you still need someone to throw on the football. So Dallas is in trouble right now.
They definitely are. Now 0-3 without Romo, and it's a team that just does not look right in terms of consistency. Yes, they got defensive pressure with Greg Hardy coming in there, doing a good job for them, but I just saw offensively, as you're saying, it could not move the ball. No one's afraid of Brandon Weeden, and I don't know how much they're going to be afraid of Matt Castle coming there as well. So a team in total disarray. Hopefully they can use the bye week to kind of figure some things out, and then they come back with a tough game against the Giants. So they're in a mix because it's such a bad division, but let's face it, they're not going anywhere without Romo or Bryant.
Hey, listen, their season can end in early November. They've got the Giants, Seahawks, and Eagles coming up. And if they lose those 3 games, you're looking at 2-6. And again, injuries are a part of the NFL. You just can't escape that. But ultimately, that is a deep hole they got to climb out of. Let's do a little whip around, a couple minutes again with Lloyd Vance. Interesting weekend in the NFL. So many last-second touchdowns. It was exciting all over the place. The Cleveland game last night in Pittsburgh, the Giants game, the Bears game. How about Jay Cutler, the much-maligned Jay Cutler, coming up clutch with 2 gorgeous throws late? That was a huge win by the Bears. That's a win that they needed.
It was. And the Bears, let's face it, they are changing the way that they've played under John Fox, a tough veteran coach, and he's providing that leadership in there. I think Jay Cutler understands that this guy believes in him. He's given them football. They still got Forte. I know they're banged up at the wide receiver position, but they found a way against the Chiefs team. Let's face it, not as tough as it used to be playing there in Kansas City, but the Chiefs kind of let them have that game, and I think the Chiefs are going the other way. Andy Reid kind of looking for the life rafts.
Yeah, and what's interesting, too, is you feel really bad for Jamal Charles. I thought they were much better than their record indicated, and now with the loss of Charles with another major knee injury, the second in the last 12 years, 2 different legs, I mean, both his left and his right ACL, that's a major blow to Kansas City. I don't think Andy Reid's on the hot seat, but I definitely think Kansas City's in store for a very, very long season. How about the Seattle Seahawks? Here's a team that has made the Super Bowl the past 2 years, and we understand that when they got Cam Chancellor back, it was going to take a little bit of time for this team to click. But you're on the road, and you turn around and you get the lead that you get against the Cincinnati Bengals, and you can't close it out. That tells me two things. The Seattle Seahawks, they are not – no one is fearful of them anymore. That's done. The Seattle scaring teams, that's over with. And that showed me – and forget about giving credit to the Bengals and Andy Reid right now, but Seattle's soft. They are a soft team mentally. You can just kind of see it in their demeanor. For the Bengals to come back like that and win that game in the fashion in which they win and then get the doink field goal by Nugent, I mean, talk about a bad loss for Seattle. That is a crippling loss.
Yeah, it's kind of lost that could kind of haunt a team. And let's face it, Tom Rawls did a great job running the football, 169 yards rushing, and they didn't have much else behind him. Russell Wilson is running for his life behind a patchwork offensive line. He's on pace to get sacked 70 sometimes this season, and they just do not seem like the right team. I think that Super Bowl hangover that we expected last year has finally reared its ugly head this year, and it's a tough assignment for them because, let's face it, everybody wants to get up to play the champs. And now they got Carolina, a tough team coming. And, you know, it's something where Russell Wilson's going to have to pull play, make a magic play out of his hat because this team right now is searching for anything. And as you were saying, up 17 points on the road, you have to find a way to close that game out.
How about Jimmy Graham? I mean, I understand it takes a couple weeks to get acclimated into another offense, but Graham's on pace for 67 catches, just under 700 yards. He's currently 11th among tight ends in receiving. And that look, the Saints missed him obviously in the red zone, but Seattle's given him absolutely nothing. Is that more of a product of the offensive line and Wilson running for his life, or the Seattle Seahawks just not implementing Graham more into the offense?
Yeah, I think that's the disconnect between him and Darrell Bevell, offensive coordinator. He needs to work to get Jimmy Graham in there. Let's face it, they trade Max Unger, a Pro Bowl center, for him, and they brought him in here for a reason. He really should be Russell Wilson's security blanket, a guy that can work the seams. Because on the outside, they're not the best team in terms of talent out there. So they got to find a way to work in Jimmy Graham. And you talk about his blocking. That's not why they brought him there. He's not the best blocker, but they have to get him the football, especially on third down where it's most important.
I'm going to give you three quarterbacks right now: Andy Dalton, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. Who's throwing the football the best?
Ooh, you know, my one buddy was talking up Dalton, but I just can't say that right now. I say Tom Brady. You know, he's just such a veteran guy out there, and the Patriots just seem to be playing at a crazy level that we haven't seen in quite some time. He's on pace to pass for over 5,500 yards, over 50 touchdowns. So he's just surgical out there, and I know Rodgers kind of struggled this week. So I'll go Brady, Dalton, Rodgers.
Are you going Dalton because of the track record in the postseason?
Yeah, Q 0-4 in the postseason. I still remember them losing to T.J. Yates and the Texans at home. This team's got to prove it in January, but right now they look very good. You cannot take that away from them.
And through 5 games of the season, and you look around the NFL, we're starting. I've been saying this for years. I always look at November as that barometer, that gauge where you start to see teams kind of separate themselves. Look, the Patriots are not the 2007 Patriots. You can plug anyone back there. You still got Tom Brady. You've got Carolina. You've got Atlanta coming off a big win in overtime. You have the old man in Denver, Peyton Manning, getting it done. A complimentary. It seems like he's almost like the afterthought there with their defense and their ground game. Out of all those 5-0 teams, who's the most impressive? Actually, let me rephrase that. Who's the most legit 5-0 team?
Well, that's a good question. Right now I'd have to go with the Packers. I'll go with them because they're at home. They're just so difficult to beat. You know, Aaron Rodgers finally threw an interception at home, but it wasn't even a close game. That defense has come along very good. Clay Matthews getting a lot of heat off the edge, and then Aaron Rodgers just throwing the football to a lot of different guys. So very dangerous team up there in Green Bay. And as you're saying, the other teams, there's 6 teams that are undefeated right now. All of them really looking good, and now we're going to kind of get this weekend. Maybe we'll start seeing one of these guys fall to the wayside.
I agree 100%. Always good stuff, my friend. Appreciate it. We'll talk next week.
All right, thanks for having me on.
All right, you got it. Lloyd Vance, NFL contributor, NFL Network. Good stuff.